I will testify, the pig gut story is 100% true. It happened that way, and yes, I did take a cow's heart home. I did cook it, and I did attempt to eat it. And it was terrible. But I spent money on the cow's heart. You can cook these. It would be an interesting thing to cook. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Well, there's a scene in the movie where the zombie who's been impaled with the pitchfork, it's the teenager that Bill kills with the pitchfork, and he breaks it off so it's got this jagged splinter of a handle left in it. And he comes in through the window, and he attacks one of the girls, and when he grabs her and pulls her toward him to bite her, she's impaled on the spike of the handle, and it goes completely through her body and comes out her back, and then he bites her in the throat. The way we did that effect, it was just one of these effects that Bill came up with, you know, and it's like, go do it in a half hour or something. So it was a real challenging effect, and I figured out a way to do it where we just got the actress, we put saran wrap over her back, put plaster bandages over them, made a frame, and I cut a hole in it, and we actually strapped it onto her body and left a gap about this wide. So it was actually a cheat. From behind, you could actually lift the bottom of it out slightly so that you could have an airspace in there. And I put a little mechanism that was spring-loaded. It was a little tip of the point of the handle, and it was spring-loaded in there. So all I'd have to do is pull this little lever, and it would pop right out, right through her back. And it gave the illusion that the thing had been impaled. As he was pulling it forward, I just triggered it, and it shot out, and blood came out and ran all down her back. And the cheat was actually so good that they actually shot it 3/4, and you really couldn't tell that, because she had a bulky sweatshirt on, that there was actually a gap there. And you shot it from the waist up. So that's how that effect was done. And that was my second favorite effect in the movie.
I left a wife and a child.
Give me another one. Sure.
Come on, Andy, don't you think you've had enough? You're drunk.
Nag, 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 nag. Why don't you put a leash around my neck and drag me across the floor?
You've got your nerve.
You're no fun anymore. I'm gonna go over here and drink with those guys.
There's a horrible, awful, terrible, just wretched point in the movie when I actually start acting and play a part. And I'm one of the drunks at the party who was ingeniously named Andy in the film, and I had my nose torn off by a girl. And that was actually a prosthetic effect that Jerry Gergley did. He made the mold of my head. He built up a fake top of my head with a ripped off nose and rigged me. And we shot this all, I think, over the course of 1 or 2 nights in a real barn on the property that we were shooting the film. It is unbelievably cold. You're not seeing breath coming out of everybody. It was so unbelievably icy, frosty cold. And remember, I'm also, aside from doing the sequence, I'm still first ADing this. So there's hours and hours in the middle of the night when I'm lying on this cold floor in a barn, smeared, covered, caked with fake blood, not moving, not wanting to get up because the blood is starting to congeal and it's sticking my hair and everything to the ground, and I don't want to tear my scalp apart. So I'm just lying there for hours with my clipboard, like this, screaming, "All right, next setup, lock it up, quiet, roll sound," throwing everything, like trying not to shiver and shake. And it was a long night. It was a long, long, cold night. And probably in any sequence you see where I'm just lying on the ground, you can see my corpse sort of twitching and all. That's not acting. I am shaking because I am freezing to death.
Just because some people didn't come to your party, Andy, is no reason for you to get so drunk that you spoil it for me and everybody else.
Yeah, I just made the decision that with a Halloween party, you could have kids dressed up and play around with it, do a lot of, stuff. And that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to do a lot of stuff.
I think I see something. Hey, there's 2 of them. Let's get the bastard.
I kind of puppeteered it. We had it on the ladder, and I just kind of pushed down on it, and it gave it a little movement. We took a real bailing hook, I think was one of the ones from Night of the Living Dead, and actually stuck it in there, and there was a blood pack inserted inside the gelatin leg, and it gushed blood out. We did 2 takes, one really bloody one and one without any blood. Well, that pitchfork was an interesting thing because I don't think we only used the real pitchfork for one shot. That's where it actually goes into a fake torso. And Bill stabs the torso with a real pitchfork. And then we had this thing that I called the Swiss Army pitchfork, which was actually something I constructed. It was made out of a material called friendly plastic, and the handle was balsa wood. And it was attached to a harness that the actor could wear where it was protruding from his back, and it was lightweight, so it would balance, and the harness would hold it up so he could walk around, that he could actually snap it off because it was balsa wood. It was pre-cut. And it had blood. There was another one that was a real handle with blood tubing going through it that went up through these friendly plastic sculpted prongs that were over top of tubing, so you could hold it up against somebody and pump blood through it, and it would actually gush out all the holes. And you could actually take that, and it had retractable blades that actually fit in, that when you actually stabbed somebody, you could stab them with one prong, two prong, or as many prongs as you want, because they would collapse and then pop right back out. So it had many uses. It could be used and taken all apart, and I think I still have part of it. It disintegrated over time, but the friendly plastic is a material that's heated up and put in water, and it can be sculpted with, and then it hardens like plastic, but it doesn't last.
One of my favorite moments is the reason it's not in the movie. In the party barn scene with the hula dancer girl that's climbing up, and she gets the hook in her leg and comes down, the first take that we did of it, she was one of the girls that we hired to take her top off. So as FleshEater is attacking her, it's supposed to rip her top off and then go down and kill her. And we filmed that, and then we decided we did our TV cover of him attacking, and it's actually the cut in the movie. We go to cut the film together, and we're looking at this footage, and it is just so embarrassingly gratuitous. I mean, it's not even some sort of smooth move where her top accidentally comes off or something. He has her down on the ground, and then, like, as an afterthought, he's like, takes the top off and then goes to get her. We were mortified. We were embarrassed for the girl, and we actually didn't cut that into the movie. The good, decent, wholesome exploitation filmmakers that we were, we decided this just doesn't feel right, and it's wound up on the cutting room floor.
You're supposed to say trick or treat.
You had to figure to play the Halloween theme that the zombie's going to go to the house and knock on the door or bang on the door, and the little girl is going to come to the door and answer it because she thinks it's trick-or-treaters, and then the zombie proceeds to kill them all. And then when the husband comes home, discovers everybody's been killed, and they attack him and kill him. I just thought it was cool. There's no message there. It's like, if the guy came home and he was the only thing alive in the house and everybody else was dead, well, he's meat. Let's go eat him. The zombies don't think about family. They're just meat. Basically, some things happened in that whole scene that went amok. But we had cast a young lady to be one of the daughters, and required nudity in the shower and so forth. And it turned out the young lady was a dancer in a club, and she got poked in the eye in a fight, so she couldn't do the scene. So we had to find another little girl to do it, and it turned out the girl was too old to be a daughter. So suddenly she became housekeeper. Quick! And we used the housekeeper instead, and then we did some gratuitous nudity in the shower. And my camera operator, there was only room enough in there for my camera operator and the young lady, and he proceeded to shoot a ton of footage. We kept knocking on the door to get his ass out of there. Finally, we got Simon out of the shower room and proceeded with the scene. And then I had to wrestle the girl, as you see in the movie, with her towel on, and I was like wavering back and forth. Should I do this with the girl totally in the nude, the whole thing? But we wound up leaving her with a towel on her to be a little modest, I guess, so we passed the censors. I'll have to tell you a story about the censors, but anyway, I got the girl down. I managed to pull it off so we could see some breasts in the shot, And then the next scene, the fellow's supposed to come in, the man comes home, comes upstairs looking for people, looking for his wife and kids. They figure they're gone, but the housekeeper should be somewhere watching the kids or whatever. And he comes upstairs and he walks in the room. Well, it so happens that the fellow that walks in the room, that's my brother-in-law playing that part, married to my sister. And we decided that when he walked in the room, she would be laying there totally nude, which he didn't know was going to happen. So that look of shock on his face is real. He walks and goes, boom. So another little joke we played.
See, Simon Mancis, the director of photography of the film, actually plays one of the posse members. He goes to the house and finds the decimated family and finds the little girl played by Bill's daughter, Heidi, and he's the hunter that winds up shooting Heidi. And it was this big acting moment for him because he actually has to draw a tear, get a tear and point. Well, Bill shot that sequence himself because Simon couldn't, because he was actually performing in it. And Bill, throughout the entire movie, also made all the blanks for everything that's fired. He didn't buy blanks; he made the blanks himself because Bill knows guns. But Bill made a really powerful blank for this sequence. And we're shooting it, and we're down on the floor holding up the bounce card, and Simon points the gun at the camera, and Bill's down on the ground holding the camera, and he fires the gun, and instead of hearing cut, we hear like, oh, fuck, goddamn, the blank blasts through the bounce card, blasts through Bill's foot, and Simon shoots Bill in the foot.
Who made the blanks? I think I did. I'm trying to save money. I just pulled a bullet out, you know, and stick some cardboard down in there. Should have learned my lesson on another guy one time, but burned some guy's belly up pretty bad. You're not supposed to aim it at his belly, you're supposed to aim it at the ground.
I don't like to think that any effect is impossible. I mean, that's what special effects artists are. They're magicians. They're supposed to come up with impossible things, and you figure out some way that you can actually do these effects. And, you know, it always gets done one way or the other. Your main obstacle is time, which we didn't have on this movie, so we just improvised things, and it was a very creative movie in that respect, that there was really no pressure. You know, it was more of a fun atmosphere, and it was just like a challenge to think up these crazy things and see if you could do them overnight and make them look good. You know, and we'd use just anything laying around. I know one day Bill came up and we had this barn burning scene, and he wanted 2 burned bodies. And I had no budget left, and it's like, I want to shoot this day after tomorrow. Can you get me some bodies? Just anything. Just, you know, make some bodies. It's like, make some bodies. Okay, I'm going to make some bodies. So we're looking around the production office, and I look over at the sofa, and I'm thinking, those cushions have upholstery foam in. That would make a good body. So no one was looking, so I went over to, zipped it open, took the upholstery foam out. I found a big cardboard shipping tube that was in the trash in the dumpster, and I kind of bent that in half and kind of bent it into a spine and wrapped the upholstery foam around with duct tape, and we covered it with cotton and latex and built this, and Rice Krispies and all this stuff, and I put a plastic skull on it, and that was one of the burned bodies, and the other one was pieced together from, you know, a bunch of corpse parts that I had laying around. And he had his 2 burned bodies in a day and a half. And that was, you know, the most, you know, fun 24 hours I ever had, making burned corpses with no money and no supplies, you know.
Favorite scene is where I pick my daughter up and bite her neck, and she drops the candy bar, which if you look real close, you see it's a crunch candy bar. And then the blood starts dripping on the crunch candy bar. And I really wanted to do a big letters, crunch, on the screen, but no, I better not do that. I think first time I used her in a film, she was playing an abused baby for a training film for a hospital. And she perfectly knows well that, you know, that all that stuff is fake, it's just movies. And she's fine. You know, she's 25 years old, she's a wonderful actress now. In fact, we're doing the play Night of the Living Dead, and she's playing Barbara come October, so. Works out very well. Hi everybody, Bill Hilzman, Zombie #1. Hoping that you watch FleshEater and enjoy it and have a lot of fun watching it. And remember, it's just a movie.